All right. Good morning, everybody. Uh, I'd like to thank you all for being here today. My name is Ray Garza, and I serve as a county judge for Aransas County. Today, I have the responsibility of chairing the Salary Grievance Committee hearing conveyed in accordance with Texas Local Government Code Section 152. We are here today to consider the salary grievance submitted by Constable Harrison, who represents Precinct 2. The purpose of this hearing is to ensure that Constable Harrison has the opportunity to present his case regarding the proposed salary, and for this committee to carefully evaluate the merits of this grievance. As a reminder, this committee is made up of elected officials from our county and public members of the community. And we are tasked with reviewing the facts presented, asking any necessary questions, and making a fair and impartial decision based on the evidence before us. Our proceedings today will be conducted in an orderly manner. Constable Harrison will have the first opportunity to present his grievance, followed by any questions for the committee members. After that, we will deliberate and make a determination. I ask that everyone present remains respectful and allows the process to unfold as intended. The goal here is to ensure that all parties are heard and that a just decision is reached. And I want to remind everyone in the committee that I am not entitled to vote. I'm just chairing this committee. Thank you again for your participation. Let's proceed with the hearing, and I'm going to go ahead and call this meeting to order. And roll call, please.
Ray Garza, County Judge, is Chairman.
Here.
County Attorney Amanda Oster. Here. County Clerk Misty Kimber, I'm here. County Treasurer Alma Cartwright. Here. District Clerk Pam Hurd. Here. Sheriff Bill Mills.
Here.
Tax Assessor Collector Anna Marshall.
Here.
Public members Janet James.
Here.
Ken Marks.
Here.
Terrence Fisher.
Here.
And Michael, no, you're not Michael.
Ken Marks.
Sorry, Ken Marks. Okay, and who was the alternate?
Oh, I'm the alternate.
Ken Marks is the alternate, I'm sorry. And Vesta Willie.
Yes, here.
So it looks like we're all here. And Miss Della Martinez is going to read the procedures.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I am the Assistant County Attorney for Civil Matters. I want to also thank you for your service today. This is a very unique, once a year kind of experience. And we thank you for your service, for joining in the democratic process that we have as Americans and as Texans. I want to second what Judge Garza has said. This is strictly under the Texas Local Government Code, Chapter 152. Part of what we need to do before we really get going is adopt the procedures that we are going to follow today. We will have time for our constable to present his case. That time limit has been proposed as 30 minutes. But whether or not he uses all 30 minutes, that time has been proposed. Public comments in our normal other commissioner court meetings are usually limited to 3 minutes. So if anybody has public comments, we would recommend that we follow that time limit as well, because that's well established here. When you vote, you will be given the chance to deliberate. If you are not an elected official here, I mean it when I say that your vote and your voice is important. The law is strictly written out to where you have not only a duty, but you have the right to say, this is how I feel as a voting member of this community, and this is what I think my elected officials should be entitled to. We encourage you to share that opinion. If you feel that someone else here is a voted elected official and might have an opinion that you think, oh, I don't want to raise my voice, you should absolutely raise your voice. That's why you're here. So the way that this vote will happen, if 6 or more members vote to increase the officer's salary, the committee shall submit its recommendation to the Commissioner's Court in writing. So we have a form already today. We're going to ask you if you vote to increase, then we're going to ask you to fill out that form and deliberate. Now, the law is just a little bit, it's not confusing, but it feels unwordy. If 6 or more members vote to increase, then we're going to fill out that form. If 6 to 8 members vote to recommend the increase, the Commissioners Court shall consider. So your job here is defined, your authority here is to say yes or no. And if yes, then here's what we're going to do. So this is a little bit explaining the next step. If 6 to 8 of you submit it, the Commissioners Court has to consider it, but they don't have to adopt it. If 9 of you vote, otherwise, if the 9 members are unanimous, then the Commissioners Court shall include the increase in the budget before the budget is filed, and the increase takes effect in the next budget year. So your numbers matter and your voice matters today. We are not asking you nor influencing you to vote one way or the other. You're here to vote your conscience as a part of this committee. But we are asking right now for you to adopt those time limits for speaking. Who can present evidence to you? Who can present something for your consideration? There might be back and forth between you and our constable. And to my knowledge, if you agree to adopt that, then that's fine. And you can ask your questions directly from the person who's giving their presentation. So 30 minutes for presentation with back and forth speaking, 3 minutes for public comment for anyone who would like to have a public comment. And then however you vote, to follow the rules of Texas Government Code 152 in submitting your decision to the Commissioners Court. Those are the 3 things that Judge Garza is going to ask you to adopt. But before we do, does anyone have any questions or need clarifications? Yes, sir.
As an alternate, I only vote if one of the other members on the committee, including the elected officials, don't vote.
Correct.
And how will I know that they have chosen not to vote?
That's a fantastic question.
So if someone needs to leave the meeting for an emergency or medical issue or something like that, then you would step in. Or if someone decides that they cannot make a decision because they need to recuse themselves from the decision, then we will let you know. Otherwise, we would just ask that you pay attention throughout the entire deliberation so that you're able to form a choice. So if you do need to vote, you can.
That was a
And-
good question.
And Adela, do we need to make a motion to adopt the procedures?
Yes.
Okay.
That's about to happen. Are there any more questions?
If everybody's in
No?
agreement with
Okay.
these procedures, do I have a motion to adopt these these?
I make a motion to adopt the procedures as described.
Second. Got a motion and a second. Any discussion? All right.
Alma Cartwright. Anna Marshall. Terrence
Yes.
Fisher, sorry. Bill Mills.
Yes.
Janet James.
Yes.
Vesta Willie.
Yes.
Amanda Oster.
Yes.
Pam Hurd.
Yes.
Misty Kimbrough, yes.
All right, unanimous. At this time, we'll go and call Constable Harrison up to the podium. Good morning, sir.
Just wanted to make one point of clarification. Just wanted to make one point of clarification, because I don't want anybody to be misinformed, or perhaps I'm misinformed. Local government code covering grievances says 6 to 8 votes. You make a recommendation to the Commissioners Court, which they consider. 9 votes unanimous, they must consider. However, Aransas County policy states 6 to 8 votes and they will adopt. I want to make everybody aware of that. So 6 or more votes, the county is going to adopt whatever you recommend. Just wanted to make that clear because I didn't want you operating under a misunderstanding. Like everybody else has said, and I've said a couple of times, thank you for being here. I'm sorry that it was necessary. I took the office of constable, was appointed December 2021-ish. Our former constable had some medical issues and was no longer able to perform the functions of the job. I took the job erroneously thinking that it was going to be part-time, 15, 20 hours a week. And that I could still perform that function and my function with the sheriff's office. I've been here about 23 years in Aransas County, served 21, 22 years with the sheriff's office in a variety of positions. And I thought I could adopt both of them. A special election was held and I was elected as your constable. And about 3 months in, I realized, oh no, this is a full-time job. This is not part-time at all. At that point, I opted to leave the sheriff's office so that I could perform my functions for y'all as constable full-time, like the position needs to be filled. I also went to the commissioner's court and said, it has been a long time since we've had a salary negotiation for the office of constable. It is now a full-time position. It is no longer part-time. We have too much to do. And the commissioner's court in that time in the 2022 budget discussion for the 2023 budget year agreed. They said, yes, it needs to come up. At that time, I was requesting 48,000, which was what the Texas Association of Counties salary survey averaged out at, the mean for a constable in our bracket in Texas. They said they couldn't do that much. They raised it to right at 40,000 per year, with the understanding 3 of the commissioners that were on that court in 2022 are still on that court now, with the understanding that we would readdress it the following year. The 2023 budget cycle, ordinarily I put together data. I'll give you a packet. I'll give you the information. The 2023 budget cycle, about 2 months prior to that, my wife was hit by a drunk driver in a head-on collision, and I was taking care of her. I did not have the time to do the research and prepare the data that I would want as a commissioner to look at. So in the 2023 conversation, salary never came up. Thankfully, my wife was doing a lot better. Finally got the burns healed, and I was able to do the research this year. I researched our TAC bracket as 27 counties. I compiled the research based on every elected position, save the commissioners. Looked at all 27 counties and said, how is Aransas County paying compared to other counties on an average? What is the mean? And historically, the mean is we pay about 8% above at auditor to 4% below at one of the clerks until you get to the constable, which is paid 20% below mean. If you look at salaries for Aransas County and get the mean of that for elected officials, we're paid about 40% below mean. So I prepared a request based on that data, requesting what is in essence a compromise amount of $51,000 for my office. I do not have deputies. I do all of it myself. I would point out that those other counties all employ, with one exception, Hopkins County, all employ between 4 and 6 constables and deputies to spread the workload. And those are counties that are population and budget similar. So for a similar county with a similar budget and a similar population, they are employing between 4 and 6, with the exception of Hopkins County, who employs 2 constables and compensates them at 74,100 and something to account for that, plus their deputies. I came to the commissioner's court during the budget cycle and tried to present my data. Like I had done in the past, I was allotted 15 minutes during the budget cycle to do that. I got slightly less than 30 seconds before they said, just give us the data, we'll get back to you. So I was not able to make a complete presentation. Then they decided to discuss it and not let me know that they were going to be discussing my office and our salary and our operating budget. So I was not allowed to make my voice heard there either. And the three of the members that said back in 2022 that we need to address this, we'll address this the following budget year, did not address anything. I gave them the data. I'm more than willing to give you the data as well. If you're looking for the closest comparison to my office, it would be the civil process deputy, don't you think, Sheriff?
In the county, yes. Comparable, yes.
Would be a civil process deputy. We have some additional duties. We have some additional duties and responsibilities to perform as constables in addition to the duties that a civil process deputy would do. The civil process deputy position is compensated in this county at $60,568 or $658. A brand new deputy, fresh out of the academy, with no experience other than his license. He hasn't even been awarded a basic peace officer license. He's been awarded a peace officer license. Is compensated about $53,000. 25, 30 years ago, this was a part-time job. Today, in my precinct, I have all but one of the apartment complexes that I'm aware of. I have a majority of RV parks, and these are things that drive the functions of my job. In the last couple of years, we've added another 200 units or so with Tide on 35 opening up. And because of the way they do their rentals, it drives a fair amount of our work. And in my case personally, my judge, Judge McGinnis, has all the school cases, truancy cases, et cetera. The city handles the junior high and the high school. I handle all the elementary stuff. So it is absolutely a full-time plus job. And I'm proud and happy to do it. I knew what the job paid when I ran for it. Yes, I ran for it and did not know, and my predecessor was not there to ask just how much the workload had increased in 20 years. I'm asking y'all to just bring it up to at least almost what a brand new deputy pays. I've been doing this for the county, for y'all, for over 20 years in law enforcement here. I've taken the risks and will happily do so again. I have trained a lot of your officers that are here now. Hurricane comes, I'm going to be here. I was here for Harvey. I'll be here for the next one. There's a problem, I'm going to be here. Something kicks off at the school, I'm going to be there. I'm going to be inside. I'm proven. I have done it before and will not hesitate to do so again. About, 4 years ago, I got shot on duty? About 4 years ago?
Yes, sir.
I wasn't leaking that bad. I stayed on scene until that scene was secured and a peaceful resolution was found. And in fact, I drove myself to the ER and was getting x-rayed, so they could, dig some lead and copper out of me. And the sheriff called me and said, we will not go into names, but this was a mental health situation. And we believed it to be a mental health situation. And when it was all done, I'm getting x-rayed. I'm getting called by the sheriff. He's like, oh yeah, it's absolutely a mental health situation. And my response was, I don't want to charge that individual. That is a mental health crisis. They were not upset at Lieutenant Harrison then. They were in a mental crisis. They were not acting normally. They needed help, not prison. When I serve the citizens, I try and serve you with as much compassion as possible. I'm just asking for hopefully a little fairness. I'll entertain any questions y'all have.
All right. So you're done with your time?
Yes, sir.
All right. Does anybody have any questions or comments?
I'll make comments. I thought for some time that the constable job was a full-time job and they were horribly underpaid. It is, of course, it's true, other constables in the state can take other jobs, off duty. I don't know what that is for a constable. If you're elected, you're 24/7. So even though, I'm sure Gavin could go do security somewhere, but he wouldn't be doing his job in the county when he does that. So it's my opinion that he needs to be compensated, that the constable position needs to be paid as a full-time position. And granted, Gavin has accolades way beyond most law enforcement in the county. Unfortunately, as elected officials, that doesn't necessarily matter. If he were gone tomorrow, somebody else would have to do the job and it would pay the same exact thing. So even though, we can't award anything for merit, I just believe that anybody who lives in Aransas County and he's required to live in his precinct should be able to afford to do that on their pay with the county. I can tell you in my office, I have 7 deputies. 1 is part-time. I have 3 that live out of county because they can't afford to live here. And one of them makes more money than I do. So I am 100% for Gavin Harrison to have a raise.
I just have a question. You mentioned the court had a meeting about your budget. Where was that at? Was it in this?
No, it was in the JP courtroom.
Were you not invited to that or did you
No,
not
I
see
was
the
not.
agenda? Okay. Well, we posted an agenda. We didn't have a secret meeting. I mean, we were discussing, we were doing budget workshops. It wasn't a secret meeting. Just for reference to the committee, what was the starting pay when you took the job?
It was 28-ish.
About 28,000.
Mm-hmm.
And then the court gave you a raise and they gave you and JP1 a raise because we want to try to keep y'all equal to 40,000.
Yes, approximately.
And now you're asking for how much?
51.
51.
When you gave me a raise to 40, the data supported 48.
Right.
Gotten a little more expensive. The data now supports 51.
So in Aransas County, you don't run for office for the money. I kind of had an idea what the county judge made. I made more building
Oh.
houses.
Judge Garza?
Yeah.
Are you going to ask him a question or are you giving a speech?
I'm giving a statement.
I don't believe that is your role in this. I'm sorry.
Like I can't talk as chairman.
I think there is a time for deliberation and a time
Right.
for giving comments. Like, for example, I don't know if anybody wants to give public comments first before we truly deliberate all the matters that are in front of us.
Right. Right now, we just need to ask Gavin his questions during his time and then
Because we will have a time for deliberation.
We will.
Okay. Well, since you made me lose my train of thought because there was a question, thank you. Thank you very much. So you knew what the pay was when you took the job?
Yes, underestimated the workload.
Right. Okay. That's it. Anybody have any other questions?
Oh, I did actually.
You're off.
My apologies. I turned myself off instead of on. So this document that our treasurer handed out,
Mhm.
was this a document that you was on your behalf or?
No, ma'am. I'd have to look at the document
Oh,
first,
well,
but
please do.
I didn't discuss that with.
Okay, I just want to.
May I answer that? That is the TAC survey that Gavin is referring to.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure that we're all on the same page.
Yes, don't know
Mike,
what
Mike,
years.
please, Mike, please, sorry.
I don't know what years those are for. Texas Association of Counties splits them up by year. The data that I compiled was for the 2024 Texas Association of Counties salary survey for our population bracket, which includes Aransas County, Austin County, B County, Brown County, Caldwell County, Cass, Cook, Arath, Fannin, Fayette, Gillespie, Grimes, Hill, Hopkins, Howard, Jasper, Jim Wells, Matagorda, Milam, Palo Pinto, San Jacinto, Titus, Upshur, Valverde, Washington, Wharton, and Wood counties. Of those, if you want to further compress the population bracket, then it would be Aransas, Cass, Fayette, Gillespie, Milam, Palo Pinto, and San Jacinto. If you wanted to further compress the budget, it would be Cass, Grimes, Hopkins, Jasper, Jim Wells, Palo Pinto, Titus, and Upshur. So there are several ways that you can bracket the data.
Can we have the copies that you have for whenever we're deliberating?
I may have to make more copies, but yes.
Thank you.
And I would also remind that those counties that are population and budget matched also employ between 4 and 6 constables. This county employs 2, with, as I said before, the exception of Hopkins County, who only employs 2 constables and an unknown number of deputies. Those are not listed. I do not have any deputies.
I only want to make one public comment, and it's to
Is it a question or comment?
comment.
Well, there'd be a time for comment, right, Chairwoman?
Is everyone done asking questions?
I have-
You good?
I have one question.
Okay.
Still got a question. Sorry, Sharon.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah.
My question is, I was reading your grievance last night and you're requesting 51,000 for salary,
Yes, ma'am.
but you're also requesting the COLA that is given on top of that this year.
Yes, it is exception of COLA or longevity, et cetera. Yes. This is just salaries. All of the salaries that I listed in the document are not inclusive of COLA, are not inclusive of longevity or any other compensation. I wanted to try and make it as close to an apples to apples comparison. Didn't want to get to apples to kiwi, both fruits, different areas.
Ms. Janet, you have a question?
Yes, I have to turn this thing on.
It's on.
Okay. Can you explain to me the difference between a constable and sheriff? What their capacity is? Because I don't understand.
Yes, I can, but I don't think your microphone is the red indicating on, or is it on?
Yes.
Okay, good deal. Just making sure. The humorous, we'll get into the factual, but the humorous is the constable is Sheriff Light.
Okay.
We are all peace officers. The sheriff is charged constitutionally with the security of the courtroom and the jail, or the security of the courthouse and the jail. I am charged with the security of a specific court and do not have to deal with the jail. But we all have the same law enforcement authority and power under the Code of Criminal Procedure, power and duties under the Code of Criminal Procedure, covering all peace officers, from a town marshal in a one-horse town to a Texas Ranger. We all carry the same authorities and commission from the state. So in my case, to further detail that, a constable is charged with performing evictions, writs of possession. So evictions is telling you, hey, you've got court, they're going to kick you out. And then when you don't leave, a writ of possession is executed. And then I come and I forcibly remove you, physically remove you from the location. Or if you're engaged in a lawsuit at a level below, I believe it's $25,000, I will be involved in that. And if you're successful, I will be seizing and auctioning off your property
So you're more civil versus he's more criminal?
No, we both have civil and criminal authority. That's why he's got a civil process division in his office. So yes, I do the criminal as well. I make arrests, I make traffic stops. I was actually helping one of his deputies about 5 o'clock this morning because somebody's trailer hopped off their pickup on the causeway.
And you report to
Me,
the people
yes,
through voting.
yes.
Somebody has to be coordinating your work. Is that the judge?
No, ma'am. I am an elected official. I run my office. Y'all choose me and I run it. And hopefully keep you all happy.
And how many constables do we have in here, Aransas County?
2.
Two. Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
You said earlier that you handle, let's see, RV parks and apartments. Is that solely for eviction or for other things as well?
It can be for other things as well. It is primarily for evictions.
Thank you.
Questions? All right. Anybody out in the public want to ask a question? Got any comments? You got 3 minutes? No? All right.
How much?
Okay. All right. What's that? Yes, ma'am.
How much is the other constable paid?
The other constable is compensated at the same rate.
Okay.
So if we increase yours, would the other one get increased too?
Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am.
That's
No.
not a given.
Well, it's not a given, but the court probably
Except the
support that.
commissioner's court.
Mm, Not automatically, no.
So I would like to get, that's a good question. And that's what we researched as well as part of the salary grievance. I do want to clarify 2 points of law. This is a very slender part. The Texas Government Code has hundreds of codes inside. This one is 152, and it specifically is .014 to I think 019. It might be a little bit longer. When an elected official gets to choose to file the salary grievance, they only have a certain time of year. The budget has to be announced. The elected officials have to be made aware that their budget is coming up for discussion by the Commissioners Court. And then once the Commissioners Court said, this is our proposed one for the year, then the elected officials can come up and say, I want to file a grievance. But it is not a blanket grievance. So this is only for one constable, whereas our second constable had the opportunity to also file one of these and has not. So your decision is solely restricted to, because we're operating under, your committee is given authority by the state of Texas. So your authority is limited in that you can only consider the person who's in front of you. So you are also sitting with seven elected officials today. All 7, once the budget was proposed, could have filed their own grievance. So like I said, that was a great question because my, I don't know, just kind of generic understanding would be, well, if you're going to do it for one, wouldn't you do it for all? But in this one, it has to be filed and it only applies to the person who filed it. The second clarification of law, 152 does say when 6 people vote, we'll prepare a document. When 6 to 8 people vote, it'll be presented to the Commissioners Court for consideration. If 9 people vote, it's unanimous and the Commissioners Court shall adopt it. The way that the laws work, I don't mean to, I'm sorry, I keep looking at you. I don't mean to talk down, but I think people understand the law without really knowing what the law is. Like the Constitution of the United States governs everything. Texas also has a constitution and it governs Texas. So that constitution can't take away any of your federal rights because you're an American, right? And so the federal government, state government, county government, city government, it just keeps going. And everybody can give you more rights, but they can't take any away. So 152 has given our constable the right to ask for a salary grievance hearing. And 152 starts at those 6 people can make a vote and present it, 6 to 8 people. The commissioner's court has to consider it. They don't have to act. 9 people, they have to do it. But we have actually given more authority, more rights to our elected officials by adopting our handbook that says the 6 to 8 shall consider it. So 152 really does say what I told you. We just happen to give more rights to our elected officials in our handbook. So I just want to clarify that 6 to 8 would be a question for the commissioner's court, but they've already adopted the human resources policy. So you just need to worry about voting your conscience, and we'll let the numbers fall where they may. But you're one of, if we have 2 constables, does it apply to both? That answer is actually no. It only applies to the person who asserted their right to come here today.
All right, thank you. All right, well, at this time, we'll go and deliberate. Do you have anything else?
May I make one point of clarification?
Absolutely.
One point of clarification. The other constable does not have some of the same duties that I have. There are additional duties that my judge took on, i.e. the school, which is probably 25 or 30 hearings a year and hundreds of finding people and getting them to court yearly. Because my justice of the peace elected to do all the schools. He does not have that function. He does not have that portion of the job. That's all on me. The second thing is, I welcome competition. When I went for the appointment, they held the position open for 3 weeks. They had one person, me. I haven't had anybody run against me now through 2 elections. I think I'm the best person for the job, but y'all are probably not going to have choices in that if it's not paid at a level that folks are willing to do the job. The other constable doesn't have my duties, and his position when we were discussing it was, if it goes too high, somebody may run against me. I welcome the competition because that way y'all get to select who you believe is the best candidate for the job. That's all I have. Thank you very much for your time.
All right, thank you. All right, Sheriff, you had a statement?
I wanted to back up and
Oh,
Did anyone sign up for public comment?
No, they did not.
Okay.
thank you.
want to back up and speak to a couple of points that he made. Number one, he touched on it briefly at the end, that the 2 precincts, they're only balanced by population and not by necessarily what's within the precincts. And I speak from 24 years of experience. I was the constable that held that office for 24 years prior to running for sheriff. I still have 8 or 10 of the checks where I was paid $1 a year when that started 40 years ago, because it was part-time. What Gavin volunteered and stepped up to take 3 or 4 years ago was a position that we believed he was going to be able to do on a part-time basis, as he was my training coordinator within the sheriff's department and handle that job in a stellar fashion. He took that on, and then as he realized the load was more because of the makeup of the precincts, he resigned from the sheriff's office to commit full-time to that position. The other point, he spoke about trailer parks and apartments, and that drives a lot of the activity within the constable's office as far as evictions. But the school district issue was a voluntary deal that McGinnis took on to keep it all within one court, and that has to do with failure to attend and truancy issues where parents are involved, and the constable is out serving the papers to bring them to the hearings if the school district cannot make contact and get the parents in there. So the workload, it's not apples and apples. It's differs because of what's within the 2 precincts. 40 years ago, when I was first elected constable, we had 4 JPs and 4 constables. The court back then decided to first we cut the JPs and we cut them to 2 JPs and combined precincts. Commissioner precincts 1, 1A, and 2 became what we call precinct 1, which is held by Dupnick. They combined 3, 4, and 4A precincts commissioners into what is now known as Commissioner Precinct. Well, it's Constable Precinct 2 as well as the JP2. So that is not a statewide mandate. That was something that Aransas County did on its own. So Gavin had commented some counties have 4 constables. Those constables will have deputies as well. So depending on their load and how they disperse their activity, within the state of Texas, there are constables' offices that are bigger than my office. Harris County has constables that have more employees than I do, and their auctions on the first Tuesday are wild free-for-alls. It's dependent on the size of your county, but his power and authority is the same as mine. He's got a license from the Texas Commission on Law Enforcement, met the same certification standards and qualifications. He has the same mandates, nearly the same mandates as I do as far as continuing education. I do have one more class that he doesn't have to take, which was a new deal with the legislature this year. But for the most part, his is, if you could think of a sheriff on a precinct level, except that he does not have a jail and he does not deal with the county and district courts. Gavin and Doc serve as a warrant officer in the civil process for the JP courts. Anything that goes through the JP courts and suits up to $25,000, if you file suit in Aransas County, be it a dispute, a landlord deal, or whatever, and it goes to JP court, the constables do that service. And they serve those papers as well as the first and second notices for evictions, the school process, and everything. It is a lot of civil process, but he does have the authority to work traffic as time permits and respond to calls. When you pick up the phone in Aransas County and dial 911, it's going to go to the Public Safety Center and the sheriff's office will be dispatched. The only time that it would be deferred to a constable is if the caller acknowledges that they're having a dispute with their landlord and it's in a eviction process and they're out there squabbling. We will involve the constable then because they have firsthand knowledge of what's going on. Other than that, that's kind of the distinctions between the two and some of the background as to how we got from 4 to 2 and the Gavin's and Doc's authority within the offices they serve.
All right, anybody else? All right. Well, then we're ready to vote. One vote.
You don't vote unless somebody else doesn't. There's slips. We've got enough for 3 votes. I can always make more.
Why would we vote 3 times?
No, if there's, just in case somebody makes a mistake or whatever.
Okay.
Chairman, do you want to separate it in yes or no, full amounts? How did?
So, and this is up for deliberation as well. If you want to start with a simple yes or no, if we get to that 6 number, then we can get to the amount that you're going to recommend. If we don't get to that 6 number, then there's no reason to reconcile the amount that you're going to recommend. Because I believe you do have to recommend an amount.
Then we'll just do a roll call.
So you're
starting.
basically just wanting us to vote yes or no right now.
And then we'll determine the next step. Yes,
Let's do a
ma'am.
roll call starting with the county treasurer.
County treasurer,
No.
county tax assessor collector,
Yes.
Terrence, I can't remember your last name.
Fisher,
Fisher, sorry.
yes.
Sheriff Mills,
Yes.
Janet James,
Yes.
Vesta Willie,
Yes.
Amanda Oster, county attorney.
Yes.
And Pam Hurd, district clerk.
Yes.
Misty Kimbrough, county clerk, no.
All right, so we got 2 no's. And I can't count.
8 yeses.
7 yeses.
Or 7, sorry, 7 and 2. I can't count either.
So the next question would be, do you want to give them the amount requested or negotiate or lower?
Everybody.
Well, if he's requesting an amount, that's it, right?
No, it's not necessarily it. You
You're
could
off.
negotiate-
You're off.
Sorry. Oh, I'm sorry. Technically, you could negotiate higher or lower amount. If anyone wants to, do we want to deliberate an amount or do we want to write down an amount and see if we all are just agreeable to an amount?
Well, his grievance has an amount in it, so I figure
I-
if it's a yes, then
I appreciate that, but I'm just telling you legally, we could agree to an amount either equal to, lower to, or higher than an amount that is listed in his grievance. I'm just telling you the procedure, if we wanted to. But since it's not going to be unanimous, it wouldn't be mandatory. So we could either write it down on the little piece of paper or we could discuss it amongst ourselves, whatever everyone is comfortable with.
Anna,
I'm okay with the full amount that he's at requesting.
all right,
Right.
sure. Sheriff?
Certainly.
I'm good with the amount. Yes.
Ms.
I'm
Janet?
good.
Yes. Amanda?
Yeah, I'm fine with the full amount. I was just letting everyone know that we're able to
Okay.
do any of those things. Yeah.
And I'm fine with the amount. I just think that at the very least, he should be paid what a straight out of the academy, first time law enforcement deputy should be paid.
All right, so the 51,000?
Yes.
Is that near? Okay.
Yeah, right, we do actually need to vote, but
What was
That-
what was that amount again for the start of out of the? deputy?
51,000.
Well, no, that's what
So
he
that is
required.
51.
That-
No,
Yeah,
no,
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 starting deputy makes more than that, doesn't it?
oh,
Yeah.
You have a wage scale?
I know he had it, I believe.
it was so,
Base pay of the base pay in the 2025 budget year, which is what we're discussing, for a non-experienced patrol deputy is $56,243.
I need you to say the number slower.
I'm sorry. $56,243.
And the $56,243. So do we want to discuss that some more?
So, but then the 51 on top, he would also on top of that get the 5% COLA.
Yes.
Yes.
So
Oh, well,
cost of living,
cost of living increases.
5% cost of living raise.
Sorry, just for the microphone, if anybody's listening, I didn't want acronyms to get in the way. Because we all know what a COLA is, at Aransas County. It's a cost of living increase.
Living adjustment, but
Adjustment.
that is not guaranteed. by the law.
Correct.
Yeah.
I'm just explaining the word, for the people who aren't,
It hasn't
belonging
been
to the
voted
county.
on by the commissioners yet, but
Right.
for next budget
I
year.
did some figuring, if you do the 51,000 with the proposed 5% COLA would put him at $53,550.
Point of clarification, our auditor helped me clarify this. The 56,000 number is for the 2025 budget year, is assuming the 5% COLA increase.
Oh, okay. Okay.
If
Just
I
wanted to
could,
be clear.
I'm sorry, if I could say one more thing, being elected official for my 24th year, the only way that an elected official gets a raise is if they get the COLA. And in my opinion, if a COLA is given to county employees, it should be across the board. So I would have no problem with a COLA included for the $56,243. That would include for that amount.
yes, ma'am. I'm sorry to cut you
I'm
off.
sorry.
I know we're throwing a lot of information at you. I'm specifically speaking to our members of the public. I don't expect you to understand our budget, but you're welcome to come to whatever budget workshop we have left. You can have fun too. Right now there is a proposed cost of living adjustment. Since the budget has not yet been adopted, that's why we can have the salary grievance committee hearing. and your proposal can go to the commissioners. But at the same time, that cost of living adjustment has not been approved. So to slice it even finer, you could hypothetically vote for the 56,253. I don't remember. What?
243.
243 as a proposed number, because as our county attorney said, your proposed number can either be what was requested, what is below or above. If you voted to do the 56,243 number, you could also just vote 56,243. And to my knowledge, the only two numbers that are actually thrown out there right now for agreement between yourselves is the 51,000 or the 56,243. If anybody would like to add a different number, that would also be okay because you haven't yet voted. So you have the option to pick a number.
Or we could just keep it simple and he requested 51,000, give him 51,000.
My only concern would be is what the number is without the COLA, because you said that 56,243. I would like to have that number just for what if something happens, we don't get the COLA. So wouldn't the number we actually need in there be the number without that COLA? Because then the COLA would be voted on, he would get it anyway with all the rest of us.
Please correct me if I'm wrong, Tana, but I've got it currently at 53,565.
Yes, sir. It's close.
53,565 without the COLA. That's what the
The
current budget year-
51,000 with the COLA?
No,
No,
without the
56.
COLA is 53,565. That's what the deputy is being, brand new deputy is being paid that comes in right now in 2024. In 2025, it would be the 56,000 number,
53,
provided that they adopt the COLA. Yeah, thank you for the clarification.
53,565.
That would be the number that I would suggest if we're gonna do, instead of doing the 53,565, just because the COLA right now is not guaranteed. So that would help. It would just be basically that number he would get without it, and then he would get the COLA when we get the proposed.
Okay.
The rest of
All right.
us.
So Anna wants to propose 53,565.
Right.
Okay,
I think it would be make it easier.
okay. Do we want to take a written vote? Do we want to take a
roll
oral
call.
vote?
Do a roll
Oral
call.
vote's fine with me.
It's
Roll call
fine with me
Yeah.
also.
So the number is 53,565.
Well,
That's what we're voting on now is
yeah,
53,565.
let's not make it too complicated.
Take out the consumer price index.
I'm going with the 53,565.
I agree.
I'm okay taking
All right.
the vote on that.
Sheriff?
Yes, that puts him on par with starting officer.
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, yes.
Yes,
And you're still to vote no, and I think you still have to vote either way. So. Okay, thanks. Just for the record, sorry.
2 noes, 7 yeses. I learned to count.
so.
All right, is
we're
that
done,
it?
aren't we?
Well, we got
I
to,
believe we have a paper for you to sign and present to the Commissioners Court. That will then be presented this Monday at our Commissioners Court meeting, starting at 9 a.m. She has,
Talking about the voting thing?
I thought we had drafted, a letter to present the commissioners. Ah, my mistake. I can draft one very quickly.
Set up
Okay.
precinct.
Jackie, do we need to post this in the paper? Okay. Okay.
is it something that just the county judge could sign to give to the, since he's chairing the meeting?
We could roll.
Maybe we can vote for just the judge to sign it to submit to the, so we don't all have to. sign it.
Yes, ma'am, that would work.
Is that a motion?
Since you have already voted, we can put it to a vote of the people here today, if you prefer that the county judge be authorized to present your collective decision to the commissioners on Monday, and then we can.
You okay with that?
Is there a motion on the floor?
So moved.
All right, second.
Somebody.
I'll second.
All right.
I'll
This
second.
is to give me the authority to sign the. Okay.
Aye.
Aye.
All right.
And would you mind, I'll make a motion to adjourn.
That's it.
Second.
All right. The ayes have it.
Guys have it.
Yeah. Oh, aye.
County treasurer,
Alma, can you,
did you,
She said,
to adjourn
she said aye.
and go down the line for me, please? Anna.
Aye.
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 Aye. Aye.
aye?
Aye.
Aye. There we go.
All right.